Hi everyone, this is Ash, and I want to talk about the D word, depression. We are all afraid of depression. We are all afraid of it coming, and God knows for how many days we'll be down. And will it go all the way down that we hate our life, may even want to feel like ending it? I had an interesting experience. Like I've shared in my earlier videos, I took a proactive stance towards understanding my journey with schizophrenia, which involved deep depression too. And before I came to some interesting observations, by taking a proactive stance towards trying to understand my condition, I was able to look at things objectively. But before I did this, depression seemed like a long journey and I hated it. Sleeping all day, feeling lethargic, even feeling motionless, even like couldn't even get out of the bed. Body would burn and it would be terrible, very bad. But what happened when I started looking at it objectively? I would like to share it with you. You may find the missing link in your own journey with depression. Maybe not. Meds help. They help control. I believe that there's a red line below which, when our energy falls, we go into suicidal thoughts and painful thoughts, even physical pain. So, knowing your red line is very important. Knowing your red line that, hey, I'm touching my red line, I know I'm going to go down, and keeping a track of, okay, let's see how long am I going to go down and what happens and when does it start to pick up. Is this a regular pattern? Like for me, I discovered that whenever I went down, within 3 days it would touch the rock bottom, and after 3 days it would start to touch a plateau, a rock bottom, and then start to rise. So before I come to this, I would like you to try something. Open the tap water and flick it with your fingers. You will notice that if the tap water is fast, if the flow of the water is fast and you flick it gently, it will still scatter in a very big way. But if it's flowing gently and you flick it, it's not going to scatter much. So that observation actually triggered my imagination with depression. That I realized that when I'm full of energy and excited about something, and if it gets deflected by someone, I have a very high chance of going down into a deep depression. Whereas if I'm moving in a steady, slow fashion, controlling my energy and maneuvering my thoughts, and if somebody challenges it, I can maneuver and go through it without touching depression. Or maybe my depression would be very little. So that's one. Another thing that I found a missing link in depression. I found that the thoughts that we have, the excitement that we feel in life has energy. And there is a reason why depression happens. Nothing happens just like that. Now I don't deny the brain chemicals theory. I won't go into that. But this is my observation and my understanding that we have a certain framework, a psychological framework, and the thoughts flow through that framework. We think in a unique way because our life, our experiences build our framework of mind, how our mind works, what we like, what we don't like, how we think, the context. And when when the thoughts are flowing, there are thoughts that have no answers and we have deep questions. Maybe subconsciously these are questions from the past that we had, and suddenly you feel the energy go down. What I've discovered is when the energy is going down, I got out of the fear of it. I was no longer afraid of depression. The reason being, I discovered that there is a point at which it starts to go down. There is a question on the mind, there is a thought on the mind, and the energy is looking for solution and the answers. Believe it or not, in my case, I discovered that. And as it goes down, it becomes our vessel becomes empty. So our vessel becomes empty. Yes, sorry, there was a disturbance. So our vessel becomes empty, and we feel a whole lot of cacophony inside, a lot of defeating thoughts and this and that. But if we are aware why it's happening, all we need to do is rest and not push ourselves during this moment, because it's a very special moment. Our energy is going down, searching for some answers. You can call it soul searching for answers, and goes down. And what I discovered is when it touches the rock bottom, or even if it doesn't touch the rock bottom, when it has some solution, it will stop falling and it will start rising again. Now, in some cases, we know cases where depression stays for a long time. My own, based on this hypothesis or my observation, I feel there are thousands of questions in a person, and it's like a collapse of pillars and columns, a total wreck inside. So it does not allow your energy to flow up and down. So you need more time to sort out all your trauma. The trauma really locks the energy down and it elongates the depression. But the more time you take to let your mind flow and solve the trauma, the easier it is to face the depression, because it will just go down below the red line, and that's when your suicidal thoughts start to happen, or the being hopeless or waste in life start to happen around this stage. It goes down, it reaches a point where it can find the answer within you, and it rises. And when it rises, your psychological framework changes. You get an insight about something, the question that you had inside you. You find the answer by shift of mind, and it happens naturally. I think our mind is beautiful. It is able to, if we allow it, it it can discover what is wrong with our mind, and it can fix it. It can tune our mind, give us new thoughts, new imagination if we are open, and it can. So, with this outlook, with this perspective that I had of depression, I was no longer scared of it. In fact, I would say, all right, I noticed my pattern. It's either 3 days or 5 days, and when it came to 3 days, I could confidently say that look, for 3 days I cannot engage much, so which helped others to realize that in 3 days I'll be okay and I'll be back into action. And so that was it. This is all I want to share with you. With happy and wish you a happy recovery. Don't be afraid of depression.